Today we read from Acts chapter 17, verses 1 to 15. Last Sunday, our new dean, Jason, was installed in the cathedral amid great rejoicing. We welcomed him and his family warmly and prayed for his ministry among us. It just so happens that a few days later, the lectionary for today features a character called Jason. This was one of the believers of Thessalonica, the church we thought about 2 weeks ago, and Paul and his companions were staying with Jason during their mission there. There was great and violent opposition to the preaching of the Christian gospel in those early days. As this passage illustrates, this was typical of the reception Paul got in many cities. People rioted. There was fighting in the streets. Some rough elements in society were mobilized and staged mob violence. It was very ugly. We had scenes like this and worse in many British cities last month, following the tragic killing of 3 children at a holiday event. In the recent events, the mobs were motivated by false claims online of a Muslim immigrant being responsible. I dare say the mob in Thessalonica were not particular about understanding Paul's teaching thoroughly before they decided to riot. Feelings tend to run away with us before we check the facts. How heartening it was, and how it helped restore our faith in human nature when the counter-demonstrations happened that week in the UK with banners welcoming immigrants and rejecting the hatred of the far right. But in New Testament times, it was true that the gospel about Jesus was turning the world upside down. It's a good phrase, very like Mary's words in the Magnificat. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. This is the stuff of revolutions. It's dangerous. It has the capacity to shake the very foundations of society. These days, many of us are so used to the Christian message and regard it as perhaps part of our culture, embedded in our history, that it's hard to imagine or recover that early sense of shock. A dying God? A crucified God? You must be joking or mad. The Messiah, a nameless peasant from a backwater, disgraced and executed. How can that be? And yet, despite the improbability of it all, the church was growing. So the synagogues felt threatened, and they felt the need to oppose Paul's message vigorously. If you read on, you find that Paul with Silas moved quietly on to the next town, but that they were pursued and further rioting happened, so they had to move on again. It's all the more impressive that people were baptized. They did gather to worship Jesus Christ and to celebrate the Lord's Supper. They formed churches which survived. Their faith must have been robust to withstand powerful opposition from Jew and Gentile leaders alike. So, the Jason who was caught up in all this must have been a person of strong character, courageous and loyal. I'm sure our own Jason, our new dean, will demonstrate these and many other excellent qualities. May God bless his ministry in this cathedral church and diocese.